Welcome back to Female Voices Life and Loss. I'm Teresa,
And I'm Wayna.
and we have decided over the next several episodes, we're going to step into something intentional. Not that we haven't been intentional before, but we're going to
Right.
be very intentional, and we're going to do a series of podcast episodes. And we just had decided this series of episodes will be called The Hidden Layers of Grief No One Talks About. So we've done some research because what happens is grief isn't just about funerals. It's not just about the day someone dies, someone leaves this earth. It's about many times identity, safety, dreams, relationships, the future we thought that we'd have.
So true. It's about the thoughts you don't always say out loud. The grief, the confusion, the why am I still feeling like this at 2 a.m. in the morning?
When you're in there searching and Googling at 2
Right.
a.m. So we've noticed something that women are searching for answers. And one of the questions that we have researched is they search, how do I deal with grief? Why do I miss someone who hurt me? Is it
Mm,
normal to feel relief?
yeah.
Why am I anxious after a loss? And
Mm.
can I grieve something that never even happened? And instead of giving like a quick answer, we want to sit with these questions. We kind of want to dig into these and do a series really on all of these.
Yes, but not to fix them, but to normalize them.
Yeah. Yeah. Just grief changes us. We know that. We talk about that really on every episode, and we have guests on, and they share that as well.
Yeah.
So we don't talk enough about the quiet layers of the grief that people experience, the complicated layers, the
Mhm.
ones that make people feel like something must be wrong with.
Yes, yes, yes.
And we want to make sure that really this is clear for everyone. These aren't things to fix. Nothing's wrong with you for sure.
Mm,
But we want to make sure that we're really, really intentional as we do this part of our series, and want to
mhm.
make sure that you know that you're not broken. You are grieving.
Yes, yes, and you don't have to do that alone. We are here with
So each episode in the series will be explored different layers.
you.
When
Mhm.
nothing seems to help, grieving someone hurt us, anticipatory grief,
Yeah, I get hung up on
and
that word too.
I know it's a hard word to say. The relief of guilt,
Mm,
anxiety after a
mm,
loss. I
yeah.
just came from a seminar and they had a whole, I guess it really wasn't a seminar, a weekend, and someone spoke on anxiety.
Mhm,
Very interesting that now we're recording on that. And the grief in our life
mhm.
that you thought you'd have something differently,
Yeah.
and we're gonna just bring some honesty and some compassion to all of these subjects,
Mhm.
and the lived experience of all of them that we've experienced, we're gonna share with you.
Yeah, and unfortunately, a lot of those questions that you named, I resonate with. I can think of
Oh,
a specific thing for each one of those.
yeah.
So, unfortunately, there's gonna be a lot of lived experience for me during this series, but
Yeah.
I wanna say most importantly, though, we're gonna explore this gently because
Mhm.
losses are hard, especially the ones that aren't visible to everyone. So we're
Mhm.
gonna slow it down and take our time with this.
And I think, with you saying that, and I did some talks over the weekend, was that's where I started really on my, I'll say, career with grief, was that
Mhm,
silent grief, those griefs that you didn't see when my daughters were experiencing
mhm.
infertility and pregnancy loss. So those are very, very real to me, that silent grief, like things like you said, like that you don't see.
Mhm.
So wherever you're listening from, whether you're steady today or barely holding it together, we're honoring that you're here, that you're
Yeah.
here listening and looking for some support.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
again, we're going to be very intentional about this. And so today's episode is one of the most searched questions out there, which was, how do I deal with grief when nothing seems to help? And so if you've ever thought, I've tried to stay busy, if you've ever tried being strong, ever tried positive thinking, why am I still hurting? You're not alone. And that's where we were going to begin with this series. And so there is definitely a season in my own grief where I thought, if I just understood this well enough, I could manage it better. Of course, we talked about this before that, you know, and I've done this and I've been well educated on it now, reading about the stages of grief and trying to apply what I knew. And yet I would still have moments where a wave would hit me and I'd think, shouldn't I be past this by now?
Yeah.
And I talked about that this weekend. And we've talked about this on the podcast before because grief isn't something you outwork. Have you
Yeah.
tried that, Loina?
Yeah, sadly, when they talk about the stages of grief, she never meant it to go like that. She
No.
never meant it for any of that. I think she just gave some light to these are stages that I see, but the stages don't always go in order. So that's where
Right.
that complicated grief phrase comes
Yeah.
in. And for
Yeah.
me, oh my gosh, my first year of grief, I think I was white knuckling it through the whole year. If you'd have talked to me then, I wasn't, but here 2 years and 7 months later, I'm like, "Ooh,
Mhm.
girl, how did you
Mhm.
make it?"
Yeah, and I think just to talk about that a little bit, we know that she wrote the 5 stages of grief, and I know we've talked about this before, but maybe you're listening for the first time and you haven't heard those episodes. They were really written for people that were dying themselves. It's their stages, not us that are grieving a loved one. So I just want to make sure people are aware of that. And you're right. We don't go through them in order. They're not linear for sure.
Should we list them? You know? Just so people kinda know what we're talking about if this is the
If you,
first time they've heard it.
yeah,
So we have denial,
denial.
anger, bargaining,
Hmm.
depression, and then acceptance.
And you may feel those. I always change it to, instead of stages of grief,
Mhm,
more seasons of grief, maybe
mhm,
emotions or states of grief. So how our state is at that time instead of stages, so that
mhm,
they don't
mhm.
co- they don't connect that to the book of the 5 stages of grief.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
I don't know.
So
I might go through all of those stages in one day, you know?
yeah, I tell people they could go through all that in 1 hour.
They okay, I'm alright. Wait a minute, did this really happen? Maybe man, I am angry back again, you know? Okay, okay, I'm accepting. Give it to Jesus, and then I pull it back, and I take it back from Jesus. It's complicated, you know?
Very, very complicated. Grief is complicated, but grief is not a problem to solve. We cannot fix it. And as a society, that's what we want to do. But it's
Yeah.
not fixable. It's an experience your body and your heart are processing. So when someone is searching at 2 a.m., like we talked about, how do I deal with grief? What they're really asking is, how do I make this stop? And the honest answer really is, you don't make it stop.
Like, yeah, it's not
You
gonna stop.
learn how to carry it differently. You learn
Yes.
how to navigate those things.
I love that picture where grief fills up the whole square, you know, and you're
Mhm.
like a dot, and then it just gets smaller and smaller, which it doesn't. You are
Mhm.
learning how to carry it, like Teresa just said, you know,
Mhm.
so it's
Yeah.
getting smaller, but not really just your comfort level, your coping skills,
Mhm.
your new new normal, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, and people don't like to hear that, but it's reality.
And so when you talked about just a culture, that wants to solve this problem, and it's hard, because we're wired for productivity. We're wired to keep moving, especially in the United States. We don't give a whole lot of grace to slowing down. So
Mhm.
then when you're grieving, you feel like I am failing life.
Mhm.
And I think this probably resonates with Teresa and I just this past couple of weeks, my own grief. You just slowing me all the way down. And I'm like, dang it, I gotta put
Mhm.
eyes on it.
So I think with that said, I think the big thing is that we learn to really carry it. Like you said, we need to different carry it differently. We're thinking many times, how do I survive this day? And I just share that in my talk. Like many women that I talk to, as far as clients, they're like, I'm just in survival mode. I'm
Yeah.
just surviving day to day to day. And at first, I say, give yourself grace. That is exactly what you need to do, is
Yeah.
just survive day to day. But at some point, it really is about doing more and beginning the healing process. So,
So true. I mean, when you're in it, you're not thinking about how can I carry this differently? You're
right.
thinking, like you said, survival, how can I just not cry nonstop today?
Mhm.
How can I function when everything in my world has, shattered into a million
Yeah.
pieces? And in my own case, with, of course, my husband being responsible for our son's death, I'm angry at everything. And then I'm frustrated because I'm like, man, people make mistakes, things happen. But it's like, man, I did everything right. I did everything
Mhm.
right. I went to therapy beforehand. After my son died, I still went to therapy. I
Mhm.
journaled, I prayed, I read all the books, like all the books.
Mhm.
And I still feel like I'm drowning some days. It's just like,
Yeah.
man, when am I going to get to the other side? And this is a mom of 2 years and, 7 months, I think, still saying that.
Yeah.
And underneath all of it is just, is this my new normal? Like, is this my life where I'm going to feel like unbalanced, really? When will I feel like myself again? But I don't, I'm never going to feel like myself again, And the day my son died, I was like, yeah, this is going to be a me and Jesus walk to figure
Yeah.
this out. So I'm becoming someone new, which is hard to friends,
Mhm.
families, things like that, being in transition.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that. Kind of what I thought there is people want us to get back to the way we were. They want us to be, air quotes, normal, back to
Yeah.
our normal. And like we said earlier, there's now this new normal. There is no going back. You're forever changed because of the loss. So just be
Yeah.
aware of that. Yeah. And there is just really, grief doesn't respond to logic. It responds to loss. That's what grief does. And
Yeah.
when we have lost something significant, a person, a dream, an identity, our nervous system shifts, like you
Yeah.
said earlier, into that survival mode. And I
Mhm.
do lots and lots of trainings on nervous systems and working through kind of relaxing that nervous system, because what I know is until that nervous system settles down, and I teach lots of techniques, and you probably do too, to to soften that nervous system, and that's really the only time then that grief really begins. The healing begins is what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
And that grief will, what I would consider, soften. So
Mhm.
that's why grief can look like brain fog,
Yeah.
exhaustion, your appetite changes, you're irritable, some anxiety, emotional numbness, even that physical pain. At one of my talks, we talked about that physical pain.
Yeah.
And one of the gals said there that she had this tremendous, like, hip and pelvic pain when
Mhm.
she was experienced. That's where her grief settled in her body. And so and it happened multiple times with different losses.
Uh,
So there is a lot of physical pain with grief, and your body really does again shift into survival mode. So
mhm,
when we feel like you're not coping well, and maybe you're feeling like that you're not
mhm.
coping well, your body is actually doing exactly what it's designed to do. It's protecting you from the overwhelm.
It's so interesting you say that because even when you think of the emotional numbness and things like that, that is serving a
Mhm.
purpose, you know?
Yes.
And for us not to feel, you're like, that's dangerous. It's dangerous. But it's like, no,
Mhm.
your body said too much. There's too much pain. We need to turn it off for a minute, you know?
Mhm.
And so I remember just thinking, not like, why am I not stronger? I think my thought was just like, Lord, how long is this going you know, like how long is this going to happen? How long am
Yeah.
I going to be feeling like this? Like I don't think I shame myself for not being strong. I don't think I shame myself for
Oh,
that.
good. Good.
But I did, you know, you just get overwhelmed with so much of the low mood. You're like, I cannot focus. And
Mm.
so I think, like I was saying earlier, like I think mines are delayed. So now I'm getting a lot of, I can't focus, I can't remember things. That's way harder now than it was like 2 years ago.
Okay.
So it's just, so now I guess I'm feeling a little fragile and a little more exposed. Just with grief. I feel like sometimes, and I don't know if other grieving people feel that way, you just feel kind of exposed, like a little more needy. I need a little more care in this season. And I don't know that people prepare you for that because you figure it's
Mm.
almost 3 years. You should be moving into a different season. And I'm like, no, I feel like it happened yesterday, you know?
I think it's really, I love that you shared that. I think it's super important for people to hear that. And I'll just say to talk to that a little bit, like don't feel judged by people. It's your grief, it's your individual grief, and however that looks for you is okay. We just know sometimes that people do get stuck, and that's why I'll say where is important to find someone so that you
Mm,
don't get stuck, especially in that pain. And because what I shared this past weekend is that pain that you're
mhm.
experiencing, you can become illnesses, diseases if we don't get that pain released out of our body.
So true. So true.
So-
Just think so if you are feeling things that I have felt in the past, forgetting simple things, losing my train of thought in mid sentence, feeling like my
Mhm.
brain is slowing down. If you're feeling tired, but a tiredness that sleep doesn't fix.
Mm.
These are signs, you know, even as I thought of myself as, you know, strong, capable, high functioning, I got this, I got that, you know, all of
Mhm.
these things still happen to me. I still experience those. You
Mhm.
know? So I wanna say, instead of saying, "What's wrong with me?" and "I can't keep up," and "What is wrong with me?" We know what's wrong. It's great. We know. We know. So I want you to say, instead of "What's wrong with me?" say, "This is normal. I'm
Mhm.
still grieving." And when we think about grief as love with no place to go, I feel like
Mhm.
that gives us more grace for ourselves, for others.
For
Like,
sure.
"Oh, they're just not sensitive or sad or whatever." Like, they are carrying something and they don't have an outlet for it.
Yeah.
Self-judgment. You don't
Yeah.
self-judge because that is one of the hidden layers of grief. Just
Mm.
judging yourself, "This is taking too long. It's not going fast enough. I should be over this. I should be functioning better."
Mm.
If you're like me,
Mhm.
I've seen 18 podcasts about grief before. I know all of this. I should be okay. But there's it's the pain of a loss, and that pain,
Mhm.
you are no
Mhm.
longer the same.
Yeah, yeah, and you're really not in control of it, and
Mm,
so if we can't fix grief, what helps? So I would say not forcing it, not
mhm.
bypassing it, not pretending. What helps is really being in the presence of safe people, some
I would
kind
go
of
with emotionally safe.
predictable. Say
Yeah.
that again?
I said I would go with emotionally safe because everybody's not
True,
emotionally safe to
true.
handle big emotions and big feelings.
I would agree with that. Some predictable routines. So part of your day being kind of a routine and some gentle structure is important. Being really honest, like honest emotional expressions, allowing those waves without judging them, just
Yeah.
being present a lot of times with them. And I would say, we would both say this, professional support when needed.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
I I just feel the more I work with people with grief, I would say everyone that is grieving in some way needs
Mm,
some professional support. And that can look different for everyone, but I would say almost everyone needs someone that they can
yeah.
truly talk to, because grief really, it's not something to conquer, but it is something to work through. There's no doubt about that. Something to learn to carry differently. And most importantly, to have that self compassion for yourself and better understanding, I think, comes
Yeah.
from working with a professional to help with that understanding that. And I think a big part of that is what you're going through
Mhm.
is normal.
Yeah, it's that, and I guess for me, kinda it just shattered that illusion of control. Like,
Mhm,
I have 0 control over anything, and I think as a
mhm,
mom, I was that kinda mom, like, "Man, as long as my kids got me, they're gonna be just fine, long as
mhm,
I'm there." But what happens when I am not there and the other
mhm,
parent is there? I can't control the other parent. I can't I can't control how they move or anything. So I think for me, just being like you said, I was gonna say honesty at the same time you said honesty. Just sitting with someone that can be honest with me about what I'm walking through. Because I'm not a, what did they say, kinda Mother Earth or gentle touch kinda person.
mm,
I need you to talk to me real. Shoot
mhm,
from the hip, Imma shoot from the hip. Therapists and all, please shoot me from the hip, and
mhm,
just I don't control nothing, and I have to sit with that and figure
mhm,
out how to navigate in this new normal that I don't control. No,
mhm,
nothing at
mhm,
all.
mhm.
So, just
Yeah,
to that was hard for me because the people that I sit with, the people that I talk to, they don't like that truth. Don't they wanna close the cabinet. Let's not talk about Joshy,
yeah.
let's not talk about sadness. Let's not talk about grief. Let's just watch a comedy show and be light. And I'm like, yeah, but when you walk out that door, I still got to talk. It's still there. It's still there.
Yeah.
So being gentle, definitely with myself anyway. Hey, you got up, you got to work on time, and you checked all the boxes. We're just gonna
Yay.
celebrate that moment. So
Mhm.
I had to stop just asking why am I like this? What am I doing? And just slowing down and say, what do you need in this moment?
Yeah,
And as
yeah.
women, I think that is hard for us to do because we want to take care of our husband, we want to take care of our kids, we want to take care of our friends. And for us to just stop and say, no, we're not taking care of anybody else today. We're just going to take care of ourselves. What
Mhm.
does that look like you said? So
Yeah,
slowing down, rest, silence, distraction, connection. For me, connection is my thing, but permission to not be okay and nobody needs to solve it right now.
a big part of that is, yeah, just some awareness to do that. I mean, we hear all the time, like, take care of yourself first so you can take care of others. But I don't know why we cannot get that. We hear that all the time. We hear that when we fly. We hear that whenever we're doing things. And why we don't do it, I don't know why we don't do that. But I work with people all the time. It's like, okay, let's take care of you. So I just want to say, if you're listening right now, I want
Mhm.
you to ask yourself, where am I trying to fix something that just really doesn't need to be fixed? It needs to be felt.
That's true.
Um,
That is true.
yeah. And I once
That's
said, really, when I talk to people, it's like, what if you stop trying to win at grief?
There's no winning though. What is
There
the
isn't.
you
But
know?
yeah, I don't know why we think that we can do that, because we can't.
In our society, it's always a win or lose type of thing. There's
True.
never neutral. There's never it's either yes or no. It's not an in between kind of a thing. But if you're thinking like Teresa's saying about winning, it's not a winning game.
Mm-mm.
And if nothing that you've tried seems nothing seems to be working, it doesn't mean you're failing at grief. Because some of those things that we're doing, like when we talk about the mindfulness and when we slow down and we get outside and, we're doing all these things, we don't always see the progress immediately.
Mm.
It might be 2 years later that you start celebrating the progress that you made of getting that far.
Mhm.
So it's just slow yourself down, even if it doesn't feel like it's working. It will. It will.
Mhm.
Your body knows
Mhm.
how to take care of you. Your brain knows how to take care of you.
Mhm.
Rinse, repeat. So sometimes we just got to do muscle memory when we're in grief. We set a schedule and just did you get up? Did you do this? Did you do that? Eat, bathe, hygiene. And some days
Yeah.
that's it. That's the win. That's the win.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's important too, for people to recognize where they are strong and where those wins are. And then we
Yeah.
always say this all the time, like give yourself grace, give yourself compassion, which is super, super important in grief. It just is. So we'll kind of end this um, episode. But if this conversation really resonated with you, something we said, we want to make sure that you share this with someone who might need to hear that they're not alone.
Yeah.
And remember, grief isn't something to get over, which we talked about over and over during this episode. It's something you learn to carry differently. And we are really honored to walk alongside you every week here on Female Voices on our social media. So until next time, be gentle with your heart.
And like us on Facebook and inbox us all your feedback. We would love it.